You want to know the fastest way to gain muscle? Well, until now you could watch my old video which I made around a year and a half ago, but since I don't agree with a lot of things that I said there anymore, I am making an updated version of the video. That said, you can still watch the old video here if you want to for whatever reason. The first thing you're gonna need to do is bulk. There is a trend going on about Maingaining, which could in my opinion at the very best be the same pace as a bulk, if you actually have some body fat on your body to turn into muscle, because you cannot make muscle out of nothing. And so what I would say is if you're below 16-17% body fat, do not even consider a recomp. So many people just hammer away at maintaining for years without making any gains, or just making very little gains. So what should you do instead? You have to eat more than you need to maintain your body weight. People like to throw around numbers like, oh, you need to eat a 300 calorie surplus every day. In my opinion, those are completely fucking useless. Everybody has different needs. What I recommend instead of that is, whether you're tracking calories or not, doesn't matter, every single morning when you can, you measure yourself right after waking up, before drinking or eating anything, otherwise it's not going to be accurate. You put these measurements into your phone and you take an average of every single month. If you have Apple Health, you can just put it into there and it will calculate your weekly and monthly averages for you, but I would probably guess that Google Health does the same thing. And you compare the monthly averages and eat as much as you need to gain at a maximum of 2 pounds of body weight per month. No more than that. You're just going to get fat. It's completely unnecessary. 1 pound per week is overkill. I know it can be tempting to gain more, but it will make you gain more fat, and that means you will have to stop your bulk earlier. And as a natural, what matters the most is a long bulk. The longer you can bulk, the better, and the more time you can spend bulking compared to cutting or just anything else, the better. How much you should gain will depend mostly on body weight and experience. A guy who's 5'7" will be much lighter and will therefore have to gain much less weight than another guy who is 6'3" and is much heavier. Also, a newer guy can gain faster than somebody who's been lifting for 10 years. I say if you're a complete beginner, you can start at the high end. 2 pounds a month is fine. If you're a little bit shorter, maybe 1.5 pounds. And as you get more experience, eventually you will feel when that surplus is going to be too much for you and when you need to reduce it. A very overrated thing when it comes to diet is protein.
So you guys talk about protein? I love protein. I love protein too.
Studies have shown that you need 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight in order to maximize the amount of muscle that you can build, but I probably don't even need that much. I have no idea. I don't even track calories or macros or anything. Just make sure you get some protein with every meal and you're fine. And obviously, do not dirty bulk. You need to eat the majority of your calories from clean foods, and then a little bit can be dirty food. The next thing that we got going is sleep. A lot of people say, oh, you need to sleep 8 hours every single night. That's a complete fucking myth. Everybody has different needs when it comes to sleep, and most people will need more than that. Very few people will need less. You're probably not one of them. I, for example, need like 9.5, 10 hours every night. Also, if you can, try to experiment with when your body likes to sleep, because for an example, I had a time period when I had a job that required me to show up very early, and so I went to bed at 8 every single night and woke up at 5, which is 9 hours of sleep, and I felt like complete shit every single day. And then I switched to 11 to around 8 o'clock, and it made a giant difference for me when it comes to just overall feeling and gains as well. Even though the amount of sleep I had didn't change, it was just when I slept that changed. Next, we got the training. Number one thing, you have to have a good exercise selection. Shit exercises equals shit gains. So do your research and make sure you know why you're doing each exercise in your program. If I point at something in your program and I ask you why you are doing that, you should always be able to answer. Whenever it's safe, I recommend you to go to complete failure. You hear all of this stupid shit that, oh no, actually keeping 2 or 3 reps in reserve is the best because it minimizes fatigue and is the same stimulus. Bull fucking shit. It's not the same stimulus. I know because I tried it. A lot of other people have tried it. The 2-3 RIR training sounds good in theory, but when it comes to practice, the stimulus you get from it, from my experience, is not even close to going to failure. So go to failure wherever you can, safely, and where you can't. So for an example, squat, bench, RDLs, keep 1 or maybe at max 2 reps in reserve. There is also a tendency to do a fuck ton of volume. We've all heard 10 to 20 sets per week per muscle group. Bullshit. Do as many sets as you need per week for every single muscle group in order to grow, not more, not less. If you can grow from 4 sets a week do 4 sets a week, you don't need more. And whenever that stops working, which I define by every single lift that you do for that certain muscle group stalling for an entire month, that's when you can add 1 weekly set for that muscle group. Now, in order to be able to do this, you will actually have to track your training. You can do it on your phone, you can do it in a spreadsheet, you can do it in a logbook like I do. You just have to have it somewhere, because trust me, otherwise you're going to forget it. The goal is slowly progressing over time. If your lifts are never progressing, you're simply not gaining muscle. Both compound and isolation exercises are important. Don't neglect neither, okay? You should take both of them seriously. And when it comes to cardio, do cardio. Just do at least an hour of cardio a week, and that will help you in your lifting as well. Now, how long should your bulk be? The goal is length, not pace, okay? The longer it is, the better. In my opinion, your bulk should be at least 1 year, and after a year you can reevaluate whether you're lean enough to continue or not. If you are, feel free to continue. The cap I will give you is do not go over 20% body fat, because it's simply unhealthy. And when it comes to measuring body fat, you just have to eyeball it. We still don't have any accurate way to measure body fat, so again, you just look at yourself and that's it. But the thing is, if you're getting too fat, you're going to feel it anyways. You can make a lot of gains between like 13 and 20% body fat. There are a lot of people who would stop at like 15-60%. I personally wouldn't do that, because that is really when your body starts getting into the most anabolic state for building muscle. And so stopping there will just make your bulk too short and not very productive. A lot of people will tell you to do the opposite. No, you need to stay between 10 and 15% body fat. You can do that, and it will work if you pair it with a needle. Otherwise, it's completely unusable advice. When it comes to naturals, that's not what works. And in order to always keep yourself in check, you will have to track your progress. You will need to log your training, so write down your weights, sets, reps. You will need to keep track of your body weight every single day whenever you can. First thing you do, you step on the scale and take measurements with a tape measure once every single month. You can measure your waist, arms, calves, quads, forearms, neck, shoulder, whatever. The more everything grows, the better it is, except for the waist, which you want to keep as small as possible. If your waist measurement is going up too quickly, you're gaining too much body weight. For me personally, in the last year, I've been bulking and I gained around 2 inches on my waist, and I would say that was a relatively clean bulk. And when it comes to fat gains, you're going to gain fat. You will just have to accept that, but you shouldn't get too fat. I know a lot of people get super afraid that they're going to lose their abs. I've been bulking for an entire year and I haven't lost my abs, even though I gained a bit of body fat. You know why? Because I kept training them hard as fuck. So you just need to keep training your abs very hard and just not get too fat. And if you do that, you should never lose your abs again. What you need for visible abs is not leanness, it's big abs, and this video here.